Alright, hello everybody, AC Brick Films here, and welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, I am a dungeon master who is preparing to do a full-scale LEGO Dungeons & Dragons campaign. I have been uploading videos of my collection, and I plan to upload videos of builds, battle maps, maybe even prep work going into this campaign, so if that at all interests you, make sure you subscribe so you're notified when more content like this comes out. If you did not see the last video, it was a showcase of what I am going to be using as the main faction of knights that protect the realm in my campaign, and that was a sort of combined faction of the Fantasy Era Crown Knights, the Lion Knights, the Crowned Lion Knights from 2013, and then the Lion Knights that are red and white that came out right after the Fantasy Era Knights. However, as with all realms, there are other factions and other kingdoms. So this is going to be a showcase of all of the knight factions. This is not all of the factions that exist within my campaign, but these are all the ones that are sort of knights that I plan to have castles and kingdoms and all of that sort of stuff for. So starting off, this is the smallest faction of mine, and these are the Mercenaries. These are all custom figures that I have made, and these will play the part of just knights that are loyal only to the highest bidder. There's a couple standout figs here that I kind of want to quickly go over. This guy utilizes a Gandalf torso, and this random, I don't even think this is Lego, like hood piece. And the reason I wanted to show this is because it sort of exemplifies how, especially for doing what I'm doing, which is D&D, when you're making custom minis, you can really just use whatever you want. You don't have to stick with just what LEGO will give you. You can sort of break the mold a little. And I think in this fig, for some reason, this piece just looks really cool to me. This guy utilizes the Highlander CMF torso, but I did not have the rest of that fig. And then I think there was like a custom LEGO armor pack that I found somewhere that had these arm pieces, and I slapped them on there, and now this is actually a really cool looking knight figure. And sort of similarly, you can kind of check out these guys in the back utilize some more classic era castle pieces. I don't know, I just think that they looked really cool and I wanted to include them here. I don't think they fit in with any of the other factions. They're sort of knights, but they're not really a known legion with like a crest. Next, I want to take a look at the Green Dragon Knights. This is a fan favorite faction, and I really like the design of these guys. I've got a few sort of things going on here. I guess first up front, I have a couple of these dudes I didn't have any helmets for, so they're just chilling in the front. The unique thing about these helmets is they're this like pearl dark gray gunmetal color. They're a little bit harder to come by, and so a couple of these guys don't have helmets. I'm waiting on them. This guy's a little crusty. He needs to be cleaned. He got pulled out of a bulk recently. Shout out again to Lars. I'll have a couple shout outs to Lars actually for some of the stuff in here. Back here, I have a couple of these. I believe they're called the Frightening Knight. They used to have a bear shield. I do have a couple of the bear shields, but for the sake of the color fitting in this faction, I gave them this monkey shield that I think comes with the Knights Kingdom Knights, which I referred to in the last video as the Power Ranger Knights because they're all different colors. It's pretty much what they are. You'll notice the printing is a little bit different on these guys, and that's because one of them is fake, which I don't really care because as we go through, as I was saying, to using parts that aren't Lego, also fake Legos, as long as I'm not reselling them and trying to get real Lego prices from them, I think using them for D&D is perfectly fine. Couple more of these knights in the back. This guy is a really unique sort of armor piece. The Trident is another custom armament, but this is the only one of this like sort of really cool armor that I have. So that'll be something that I'm on the lookout more for as we continue to build these factions. In the back here, I have some sort of just like foot soldiers with normal shields, and in the very, very back, we have a few more crossbowmen. I think that guy actually has an axe instead of a crossbow. Obviously, one of the helms is a different color. It's a classic castle gray, but that's just, again, because it's harder to find these sort of pearl dark gray gunmetal helmets, so I have to work with what I have until I get more stuff. Moving on to one of my favorite factions, and I think another fan favorite here, the Black Falcons. The Black Falcons are still available on Pick-a-Brick. I didn't talk about this when I talked about the Lion Knights in my last video. It makes it so it's very easy to be army building these guys, and I might do a Pick-a-Brick order. I have not done one before, but I am aware of it. Looking at the Black Falcons, leading the Legion, I have this sort of older knight who comes in the medieval blacksmith set, which is a really awesome set. Behind him, I have two of these bucket helmet knights. They are, again, in a sort of silvery color, whereas the rest of the Black Falcons, even the one that comes in the castle, the Lion Knight's castle, has a black helmet. I don't know why LEGO gave them these color helmets. I think they also give them in the 3-in-1 castle set this silvery color, but I'm not extremely picky. Maybe eventually I'll swap those out, but I think it looks fine. Up here, I have my archer regiment, and this guy's sort of fallen over here, but I do want to look at him anyway. So he's got this cool black helmet and this black armor, and I gave him this sort of blue cloth cape. Pretty standard guy, but I thought he looked pretty cool as like the head crossbowman. And this is sort of a similar concept I have for maybe a higher up archer with this silvery armor and crossbow. In the back, we have 3 classic castle archers, a couple of them wielding bows, one wielding a crossbow. Over on the side here, we have these 3 sort of like foot soldiers, one's wielding an axe, and then these 2 here have these spears and shields. In the back, we have sort of more of the same thing, a couple of these really cool classic era. I really like these like bullet helms. They don't make these black helmets anymore at all, so another one that's probably even harder to come by than the Pearl Dark Gray helmets because they're just even older. But I really like the way they look, and this like scaled sort of maybe chainmail armor that's on these guys. Another figure that I think came in the Lion Knight's castle is this lady holding the flag. Behind her, 3 more classic Black Falcon era figs. This is the other figure that comes in the medieval blacksmith set. Another really cool sort of unique character. This squire comes in the Lion Knight's castle, along with this guy with this really cool horse barding for the Black Falcons. And then I guess I'll pick this guy up too, and we can look at sort of this really cool build, this unique backpack build. But yeah, that is my Black Falcon faction. This one will definitely be very lore important. I have a lot of them, and I really like them aesthetically. Moving onward to a faction with a little bit more of an edgy aesthetic here, we have the Black and Red Dragon Knights from the 2013 line of castle, as well as a couple Scorpion Knights, and this guy is actually holding one of the Frightening Knight shields. This is just sort of the red faction, and I'll make that make more sense once we get into the lore. So up front here, we have this guy. He utilizes a couple unique pieces. I believe that chest piece is actually a chest piece from the Fantasy era skeleton. This guy didn't have a helmet for, so he's just got this cool hairpiece on. I think it looks nice. This is a crazy custom guy that I made. He's got this scarab shield, and I think this is actually like a space big metal, gunmetal chest piece. And then this black helmet and this axe. He's just a very heavy looking sort of bruiser type of character. In the back here, sort of just standard, a bunch of standard 2013 era Dragon Knights. I don't feel like I need to go too into detail with these guys. You can sort of get the vibe of them just from looking at them. Obviously, there's this Scorpion Knight here, and then I have 2 horses. This guy has a bunch of like Ninjago stuff, and this is sort of a more classic. I actually think this is a ninja, like a classic era ninja horse head. And then it's got this like Ninjago samurai sort of thing going on. I just think they looked cool for a mounted regiment. And then this is almost mostly Vladik. It's even got Vladik's head from the Knights Kingdom, which again, the Power Ranger Knights, which I think that this Scorpion faction, as much as I have been calling the Knights Kingdom era the Power Ranger Knights, they did a really good job on the villains of that faction and the builds. and I would like to eventually add more to these ranks, but I just haven't gotten around to it yet. So directly next to these guys is a little bit more obscure of a faction. These are all fake Legos. As I was saying, we're going to get to some more fakes. Shout out again to Lars. My friend Lars got a bulk and found a bunch of fake Lego Knights in it, and he just tossed them to me because they're not really worth anything, but they're pretty cool for doing a Dungeons & Dragons campaign. Right here, I made this custom sort of general for their army. He's got this red fabric cape, and I put like a little red thing in between his legs and gave him a face, but the helmet and the chest piece and the shield are all fake Lego. The rest of these do not have faces underneath them. All these rows are exactly the same as what you're seeing up front here. So if I were to utilize these, eventually I probably am going to take all of the black heads out from underneath the helmets and replace them with actual minifigure heads. I think for the purpose of the campaign and for bulking up maybe this faction to have like a really big red, maybe more evil faction, that this will work really well. So yeah, that's going to do it for this video showing off my additional knight factions. I do have a lot of other factions that are not knights, or figs that are knights but are sort of standalone that don't go to a faction themselves that I will show off at some point. But for now, those are the knights. Let me know which faction is your favorite in the comments section below. I'm curious. Do you like any of these? Did you prefer when I combined the factions in the last video and had just one big sort of amalgam faction? These are things that I would be interested to hear about and would help me actually write lore and plan things out for my campaign. So yeah, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you whenever I decide to upload another one of these. Peace.